Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Game Changer Sports Network with the Ringside Roundup. JD here. Of course, we got the smartest man in the room, Martin Lee, and Mr. Jake Jollymore, the big man, the owner. And we are here with you with this week's wrestling news, or a recap of the wrestling news that has happened. And of course, we got to start out, with, the big news, and that is Goldberg. I can see no one's hyped up about this.
I don't know if we're going to call that good news. First and foremost, nothing about Goldberg coming back to the WWE is good news in almost 2021 at this point.
I agree.
Nostalgia's one thing, but... And of course, there are some parallels to be drawn as far as WWE.
Let's hold on. I know where you're going with this, but hold on. Let's dissect this entire ordeal on the WWE side specifically.
Okay.
Goldberg. You said right before we went live that you don't actually know what happened, so
right,
I'm going to just break it down real quick. Goldberg goes on the WWE talk show, The Bump, and calls out Roman Reigns right away. All right, there's issue number one. And then in his calling out of Roman Reigns, he basically just says Roman Reigns is a shitty champion. Issue number two. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty much all that. You stole my move, and you're a shitty champion.
Okay.
All right, so you guys are clearly building a great storyline here. I don't know.
I'm enjoying this already, enthralled.
I just want to spend all my money on this storyline. All of it. So, you got issue number one and issue number two right off the top. And then he tries to say that Roman Reigns ducked their match at WrestleMania. Now, anybody with a brain knows that Roman Reigns missed WrestleMania because of the pandemic due to having leukemia literally earlier in the year.
His family.
But, dodged.
So you're really making sense here, Goldberg. You're doing a great job. Way too good. This is the best promo you've given in years. I can't keep this serious. It was probably the biggest load of shit I've seen from the WWE this year, and there's been a lot of load of shits from WWE.
It's been a long year.
Oh, my.
Hello, Heather. Thank you for joining us once again. As far as that goes, I didn't catch the talk show, of course, as I said, but especially when the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns thing is the biggest watchable thing on SmackDown right now. It feels like that takes a backseat immediately.
Well, so there's no way Goldberg goes on the bump to enter into a program like tomorrow. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So this is clearly the setup for either the Rumble or WrestleMania. And if you're going to give me Reigns versus Goldberg at WrestleMania, I'm already not watching. Oh, for the love of God.
Rumble.
I heard Royal Rumble, but you were cutting out there, Martin.
Yep.
All right, I'll be back.
All right.
Martin is having some technical difficulties tonight.
Yeah. But when it comes down to it, though, that basically undercuts Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, because if you're going to get a match like that, it's probably going to be a championship match if he's calling him out as a bad champion.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes down to it, all right, so is Kevin Owens just going to be a filler defense? As I said, it's one of the most watchable things right now because it really makes what Kevin Owens is calling out Roman for. It's more personal. Oh, you're a coward. You're sending your family to do the fighting for you and things like that. It shows that Kevin's fearless and that Roman, while absolutely terrifying in his own sense as a heel, I'm really enjoying the energy he's throwing off, but he's sending his family to do all the fighting for him. It works. It's as I said, one of the biggest watchable things on SmackDown right now. But if you're just going to end up having it be undercut because you're trying to set up a Goldberg versus Roman Reigns match for later on, meh. I mean, you've already undercut yourself. You kind of see what's going to happen already. And that's one of the things. When I can start predicting what's going to happen, I start getting a little bit more disinterested. So, I mean, call me crazy when it comes to that, but thoughts?
All right. Numero uno.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it again. Goldberg should not be returning to the WWE in almost 2021.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't get me wrong. That one time, the first time he did it, won the belt. I think it was off the Fiend. Whatever. Cool. We got to see Goldberg again, and then we saw Goldberg again, and then again, and then again. I get the WWE is a global brand.
Right.
That doesn't skate right by me, and you need a global name. All this tells me is that the WWE can't make their own global names anymore.
They're having a lot of difficulty on that, I will admit.
Agreed.
So,
we got a comment from Brian. Ooh.
Okay, let's check it out.
Ooh. I read the first 4 words and whew.
Brian writes, Owens is a joke before Goldberg did anything. Owens got ruined with the whole black rivalry. So to me, Owens is not a credible contender to begin with. Okay. Personally, I think Owens can go though. I think Owens, when it comes down to a wrestler, can really fill in the whole package. He may not look the part, but he can talk. Boy can talk. He can wrestle. And really, after that, it just comes up to how he's booked. I think he can fill any spot on the roster. I think he can do it, and he can do it as a babyface, as a heel. I think he's got the ability to do it. But if he's booked weak, he's going to look weak. I mean, Sami Zayn. Do we even have? There's a guy that can wrestle. And when was the last time you were ever excited to see him come out?
Probably Royal Rumble 2014.
So 6 years ago. You know?
I don't even know if it was even in WWE at that time. But actually, no, it wasn't 14 the start of NXT.
Yeah.
So he would have been right after then.
Yeah, you guys are talking when I took my hiatus and I was only watching one thing. Enjoying myself.
Yeah. WWE makes me want to take a hiatus from wrestling quite often.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem with Kevin Owens. Like, they just book him right now. They just get booked quickly because, but they just booked him enough. He would put
We're losing you again, Martin.
Loud.
So we had perfect sound but no video to start that for Martin. And then the video started coming back and the sound went out. Martin's having a rough night.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you real quick.
Sure.
Exactly how much money on a WrestleMania main event would you spend on Goldberg versus Roman Reigns?
Well, I've got the network.
What is your max?
I've got the network. So if it was here in Manchester, I'd go if there was something else that was good on the show.
Have we? Didn't we get a leaked WrestleMania card already?
We might have.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It was Anyone with Edge was with them.
That's to be expected.
Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee was another one.
Well, that shit ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, Roman Reigns versus Cody thing was another one. It was him or Big E. And I can't think of the others.
So, yeah, WrestleMania is looking like it's going to be a bunch of shit this year.
All right. Well, my April's open. it's unfortunate when you get stuff like that. You get leaks and everything, but it just, I don't know. It doesn't sound like we're going to be moving on to something super exciting. We'll have to
real
see.
quick, we'll answer this question. What are your thoughts on Drew McIntyre?
I mean, I think they've added a nice little wrinkle onto his character with his friendship with Sheamus. I can see this the storyboard as far as Sheamus and Drew, being these friends that Miz and Morrison are trying to turn against each other. They could easily have a match because they're seen as these big tough guys, and they like to go out there and do their thing and call it a day, grab a beer. They could easily have a match against each other without either of them turning and being a heel, which would be a nice change of pace for things. Do I trust the E enough to do that? Not really. And if they do that, then we all know it's not going to be McIntyre who's going to be changing, because he's the face of Raw right now. Besides that, I don't hate his matches. I would say I enjoy them to a point. I would enjoy them a lot more with an audience.
I think with an audience, Drew McIntyre would probably be the most over champion of the 2010s decade.
I would agree with that.
Without the audience, it is falling flat on its face.
Very flat.
I can't get behind him as champion. I don't enjoy his segments as champion. I think with the crowd would make the world of difference for Drew McIntyre.
Absolutely.
They should have held off this second reign until the crowds could come back.
I would agree with that. I mean, they're trying their best with the automated stuff. It's not the same. You don't get that the uniqueness of
the same energy.
crowd.
The same energy.
Yeah, you just don't. The same energy, the same uniqueness, the same atmosphere, the ambiance, whatever you want to call it, wherever you're from.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same without people.
No.
And we've been saying that since the beginning of the pandemic.
Absolutely. And I mean, is Drew a bad champion? No. And he's not a bad wrestler, and he's not bad on the mic. And in fact, I would say at the very least, he's a B player across the board on all of those. But I think just that extra energy would kick him up in quite a few of those categories.
So
as I said, I don't enjoy his matches. I don't not enjoy his matches, but I haven't been able to engulf myself into them.
So we opened up talking about Goldberg coming back to the WWE. Now, the very first question I want to ask is this a direct answer to Sting showing up on AEW? We're not going to call the timing a little sus?
A little sus?
The timing's definitely a little sus.
That E looks pretty sus right now.
Yeah, they do.
No, it is as I was saying earlier, when you draw the parallels, it is pretty weird with the timing. I mean, could this just be an unfortunate timing event like Zelina Vega was with a Twitter messages that went out? Sure. But do I believe that? No. To put him onto a talk show, to go ahead and call out the champion when Sting had such a big impact just going out there and didn't say a word. Stared at a couple of people, 3 people to be exact, and it was huge. And it made you, it gave you that, oh man, what's he gonna do? You were intrigued. You were mystified. You didn't expect Sting. No one did. And then Goldberg out of left field. Sure, no one expected Goldberg to call out the champion. But it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't have that home run impact like the Sting debut on AEW did. And if this was supposed to be a shot across the bow, a return shot saying, yeah, we can do the same thing, it was not executed properly. I mean, I didn't even hear this until we were about to go live.
Now, I can tell you exactly why it doesn't feel the same, but Martin, I want to know your thoughts on this first.
Yeah, this is not the same. I mean, you already know what's happening with Goldberg coming back to WWE. This is not the same. Sting with AEW, it is a whole lot Goldberg coming to WWE. When you have AEW, you have people that want to watch. You get people that want to watch him. And people are interested in him. And when you get to Goldberg, people just don't really want to watch him anymore. I mean, what's the most interesting thing he did in the last few years? Absolutely nothing. But Sting, and like you said, he stared at 3 guys, and that did more of an impact than what Goldberg done in what Goldberg did in WWE run in the last few years.
Brian, I know you're still watching. You love watching. You love battling me. Do you know why these two situations are so different? What is the biggest difference in Sting showing up in AEW and Goldberg showing up in WWE? And while we wait, let's see if he answers. I think he might not. I think he's a little scared.
Oh, you got to call out the audience now?
Oh, I'm calling him out.
Oh. Well, in the meantime, I mean, when you think about it, it never felt like we got the last of Sting properly. When it came,
I know.
You know, I felt like, you know, he I believe, what was his last match? The one against Seth Rollins?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
who are we talking about? Sorry, I got sidetracked by something.
Oh, Sting. It felt like we didn't actually get a proper last of Sting run. Yeah. You know, his last match was against Seth Rollins, and then he had to.
And he got injured.
He got injured, and then he was just gone, and he never came back. So having him appear to wrestle again, first off, was huge. I don't think anyone was ever thinking Sting is a free agent, you know, that can actually come back and do something. But at the same time, they made it work in a way that the atmosphere worked in that time. And of course, we'll get into it, of course, but the last AEW that happened on Wednesday night kind of solidified that. Especially from a character that usually, you know, kind of made a name for himself for not doing a whole lot of talking. He did a decent amount of talking.
Yep.
But it worked. You're like, wow, I can connect with this guy. This is kind of fun. But yes, you feel like there's more to see when it comes to Sting. With Goldberg, I don't feel like there's something new and just that's something that's going to be must watch when it comes down to it. I think we're going to get Goldberg, and we'll get Goldberg.
All right. Well, Mr. Defoe didn't answer. I told you he was too afraid to answer. He didn't want to be wrong. So, here's the answer why these are so different. What did Sting show up in AEW and do?
Nothing.
He brought people to watch. He brought people to watch AEW.
He gave somebody the rub.
Mm.
Right away, right off the top. Somebody that most definitely can use it. Goldberg comes back to WWE and calls out the champion right away. So Goldberg's now obviously going to have a title match against the world champion for the world championship. Sting's going to have a tag team match with Darby Allin against like FTR, not for the belts. Sting's not there for championships.
No.
We're not trying to force feed a 62-year-old man into a championship.
That's very true. That's very true. You're not trying to just worm their way right into the main event. You're trying to build up your roster, period, the end. And if you're going to use someone that, maybe can go half speed in the ring, 3/4 speed in the ring comparatively to what they were able to, but they've got the name recognition to help pull someone along with them, you do that. Absolutely, you do that. And that's definitely got people excited. Yeah, that's a fantastic point.
I'm just saying I want to see Sting versus Orange Cassidy right away. But that's the first match I want to see. That would just be so entertaining.
Yeah, that would be pretty entertaining. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, it would be
entertaining.
Just hands in pockets, and it's just like,
Sting just
stop.
What are you doing, kid? What are you?
Oh well, we'll see what we end up getting with that. That's going to be very interesting to follow. And
they could easily do a Sting versus Matt Hardy at the Hardy compound.
Yes.
Or some sort of they could literally use Sting specifically in cinematic matches. And we would still be satisfied as a fan base because, one, he's staying the hell away from the title scene. He doesn't need to be there. We all know he's phenomenal. We all know he's world-class, top of the line, one of the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean at 62 years old or 61 years old he needs a title on him. No. But AEW knows that.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're getting what we're getting.
I mean, when you look at it, they kind of already did the whole give the title to someone that's older but has a great name recognition. Still can go in matches.
About Jericho?
Yeah, I'm talking about Jericho.
Yeah.
No. Okay, first off, let me bring up Demetrius's comment here.
Sure. I don't think Sting is going to take any bumps in AEW. I think he's going to just be a manager.
That I strongly disagree with. Strongly. If Sting has come out on the record and physically said, I am not happy with how my WWE run went, he's coming back for matches, whether they're tag team matches or very simple, easy matches. Sting is getting matches.
Right. And then, as you pointed out, cinematic matches would mean less bumps. A tag team match would mean less bumps. Unless, of course, he's given the rub, so he's the one taking the beating to get the hot tag, to give away the hot tag, which would make sense. And I would love to see. But when it comes down to it, I don't think he's going to take a ton of bumps. I don't expect to see him in a TLC match against Matt Hardy and Darby Allin for the TNT title. That's not what he's going to be there for. That's not what they're going to want to do with him. But
I don't see him winning a match. Maybe a tag team match.
Yeah, if he's tagging, I can see it.
Maybe a tag team match. But if he's in any singles match, I expect him to lose. Because as Bully Ray said today, Busted Open, you get to a point in your career as a veteran where you know you're no longer a focal point and you're going to start putting people over.
Yeah.
Sting is long past that. Long past. Jericho somehow still isn't there. That's surprising.
Jericho's evolved himself, but I mean, when it came down,
we were going back to that for a second. Hold on. You brought up Jericho, and I forgot about this point. Oh yeah, we gotta duke it out right now. Jericho got the title for a very specific reason. Very specific.
Okay.
Not because he's just the older WWE guy with a lot of experience. No, they needed that kind of guy with that name recognition to hold that title for the first time for a long time. He had it for 8 months, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 8 months.
I'm not saying it was the wrong thing. I'm just saying they've already done it. You don't need to put the world title on Sting because they've already done that. They've already established the title. That's all I'm saying.
Because it wouldn't do the same effect. Because let's say they made Adam Page the first champion in the company history. That title doesn't mean shit 8 months later when he finally drops it to Jon Moxley.
No,
There's a
not
huge
really.
difference between Adam Page and Chris Jericho.
Absolutely, I agree.
So
I'm
Chris
just saying,
Jericho.
got it. If the first champion was Sting,
Yep.
for the 8 months,
Yep.
that would help with the title. I don't think that would have been the right thing. I think Chris Jericho was the right guy.
Not as much as Jericho, because Sting's matches, no matter what, would not be as good as Jericho. I'm over here.
Right. Jericho
As
was
good as Jericho's.
Jericho was the best person to do it with. I'm not saying that it was wrong to put the title on Jericho. I'm just saying, why would they repeat the same thing when they've already established the title? And that's why Sting should stay away from that main event scene, should stay away from that world title. That's all I was saying. I think you misinterpreted it. I think you're just ready for Dukes.
I think you're being sus, and I don't like it.
What's so sus about me? I mean, come on.
I like how you took literally a step back. Like, wait a minute.
But while we're on the whole subject of AEW, let's go ahead and just kind of dive in what happened this past AEW, because you said that it was probably going to be one of the most important shows for AEW, and I think we've got the numbers that back it up, because that's what you said. I'm going to pull your words.
My specific words were, this episode that just happened of AEW is more important than the first episode. It's more important than the episode where Sting debuted. And my reasoning for that was specifically because Sting shows up. Yeah, you're going to get a small boost, but that's not what you want. You don't care about that small boost. Yeah, it's cool. It helps the numbers. But you want to see what happens in the long term, a.k.a. the next week, the following week. But that very next week after the big splash is exactly what you want to see. Now, AEW, they made their move. Now we have the numbers, see that move, and this, what should have been the biggest episode in their history.
Yep.
What happened? Well, I'll be the first to tell you. Probably not the first to tell you. If you actually were searching for this shit, you already know. Right. AEW pulled in a 995,000 people on viewership. That is 5,000 people away from 1 million. 5,000. They had 3. I got one wrong earlier when we were talking off chat. They had 3 segments go over 1 million. One of them is very surprising. Obviously, Sting talking. It did like 1.17 million.
Not surprising.
Shaq, when he was on the screen, did I think 1.07. And then doing 1.02 million was Abaddon versus Shida.
That really surprised me.
Yeah.
Of all the segments on the show, I wouldn't expect Abaddon and Shida to pull 1 million over something, let's say whatever the Inner Circle did on this episode. God knows. I don't even know at this point. Their storyline is all over the place, and I get all their weeks mixed up. I know MJF had a match against Orange Cassidy for the Diamond. It did 997,000. Wow. So whatever didn't rank well had to have really tanked for them to only have a 995,000 number.
Well, at the same time, it might not be surprising depending on the time change. As you were saying.
I don't know where Abaddon and Shida were on the night.
I watched it today, so my time-wise, I am absolutely horrible. I cannot give you any of the timestamps. I don't have the time to watch live because I'm a much too busy guy. People were curious about the female fiend.
I'm not entirely sure I would call Abaddon a female fiend. Those characters are, first off, and when I look at Abaddon, the very first thing I think is I'm about to get murdered. When I see the Fiend, the first thing is, am I in a haunted house?
I think
there's a huge difference here.
I can go for his knees and he'll go down.
Yeah, literally. You see Abaddon, you think, okay, I'm about to get murdered. My throat slit. I'm going to be hanging from the rafters. Something completely out there and acidine. And you see the Fiend is like, okay, I could take him. He's just a scary dude in a mask. My dog says hi. Just saying.
Not gonna
Apparently,
deny
my
it.
dog is also about to die. You know, it says the beautiful wife.
Right. Well. Oh, where were we?
So by the way, my new office is in my living room. So
Okay.
all three of my dog, my wife, and my mother are all right here next to me, listening to me talk about wrestling for an hour. It's actually really funny.
That's not
They
bad.
hate it.
That's not
They
bad.
hate it.
Look, I get to look around my office and no one gets to hear me talk about anything. So getting on the show and being able to just splurge about what's been going on in the wrestling world.
Jake, you sound so lonely. You sound so lonely.
All by myself.
We just tangented hard and had way too much fun with that.
Yeah. Our viewership just dipped.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Why did these guys?
We were up there in viewership, and then we just started tangenting. Like, no, one of
We
these
gotta
guys.
get Sting. We gotta get Sting.
Sting.
Or maybe for Impact, because they probably had a little bit of a bump, even though
Yes, they did. I even have those. Well, I don't have those exact numbers, but I have the general ballpark. So they use Twitch, which is I don't understand like why. Oh my, we have some names popping up that we haven't seen in a while.
Hello, Luther.
Luther, how are you, my man?
Welcome. Welcome to the show.
As I was saying, Impact uses Twitch. They were 5 times higher than normal on their Twitch viewership, and their number on Access Television doubled.
Jeez,
all because Kenny Omega was going to be there.
Yeah. Not that a lot happened.
Not at all.
Spoiler alert.
Nope.
We had a paid advertisement by Tony Khan that felt right out of the 80s.
Oh my God. It was
right out of the
80s.
Martin seems to be very highly opinionated on this. Martin, you said you liked it?
Yeah, I did.
Martin, we don't have sound again. You're cutting it out.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah. All right, we'll get Martin's opinion in a minute.
Right.
I thought for what they were trying to do, it was good.
Yeah.
But the absolute cherry on top of this entire thing was Tony Schiavone's one-liner. Tony, have you ever worked for Impact Wrestling? Schiavone answers with, yeah, but I quit the business for 18 years. Boom.
Boom. Yeah, it was.
Well,
yeah.
We appreciate it, Luther. We appreciate you showing us some love anytime you can, no matter what your busy schedule is, because we love our fans.
That's true. We love it also when you check us out on all the social medias, because we're on just about all of them. I don't think we have a TikTok yet.
We do have a TikTok. We just don't use it because I'm not creative enough.
I can't blame you there. I'm not on it too.
Yeah.
But Martin, you said you liked it. I mean, for what it was worth, the content in it was good.
It was. Yeah, I thought it was good. Yeah, it was really good. I just thought it was really good.
I mean,
hey, if you like it, you like it.
It worked for what it was. And I think, they're really trying to set up this kind of angle where it's, oh, yeah, AEW, we're better than you guys. They're definitely showing that. And what will that lead to in the future? I think we all speculated about it last week. This can lead to a whole bunch of stuff where you have Impact versus AEW. You guys have speculated dropping a little bit of my place, MJPW, into the mix. I'm not sure if they want to play yet, but we'll see.
Well, with the pandemic, they definitely don't want to play yet.
Right.
No.
And
they're going to wait. They're going to wait until the pandemic is over. Also, one match I really see happening during the storyline is Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann.
Guys, what are the odds that a random Sting commercial comes on to promote AEW right now?
I would call that destiny.
That's just funny. So they need to let this impact, impact AEW. New relationship, partnership, it needs to simmer for a little bit. I want them to play the long game because it's obvious AAA is getting involved.
Yep.
That's been made obvious. AAA will eventually be involved one way or another, but I want to see, I don't know, maybe Impact invade AEW because they're obviously playing the AEW's better than you game. Yeah. So you have to have the one that's the weak link be the one to invade.
Yep.
Or there's a certain somebody that's about to become a free agent from Impact Wrestling. And this is complete fantasy booking. I will say Ethan Page. That is correct. I am going to say this right off the top. Complete fantasy booking. This is how I would like to see this played out. Ethan Page isn't re-signing with Impact Wrestling. He has a lot of interest from AEW. Use Ethan Page as the spy. He goes AEW. He lets in the Impact guys. We have the Invasion, led by Ethan Page. Ethan Page technically signed to AEW. Storyline, that doesn't really actually matter, though.
Right.
So now Ethan Page is just in AEW. Maybe you have Sami Callihan show up one week, take out Jon Moxley. The next week you have Rich Swann show up, take out Kenny Omega. Then you have the Motor City Machine Guns come in, take out the Young Bucks.
Right.
Then you have, I don't know, Rosemary or Sue Young, either one would work, come take out Abaddon. Have Deonna Purrazzo come take out Hikaru Shida. Boom! You have an Invasion storyline not built like shit.
Right. And then maybe after that...
you need to let it simmer. You got to take it little by little.
It's got to be played out right, and it needs a perfect spark. My
wrestling knowledge and my wrestling takes are paramount to none.
Just gonna stare a little bit. Is he a free agent or is that a rumor? Martin, I'm gonna let you take this. You know more than I do as far as free agents and all that go.
He's a right now. Impact, but he's really with obvious now.
I got half of that.
All right, Martin, we love you, but we're gonna have to kick you off the show tonight. You're still having technical difficulties.
Sorry, Martin. We appreciate you though. Martin's our smartest guy in the room. We absolutely love having him on, but unfortunately, sometimes the internet.
We all have different roles in this show.
Martin
knows literally everything we cut to him for. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like RVD. I had no idea RVD was a free agent.
Right.
When did that happen? I don't know. I'm just here to give you realistic and fun fantasy booking. and I'm here. Are you trying to say it's the face?
I'm trying to. I'm not saying it's okay. So look. This took me a whole 3 weeks. You know, it's slow going.
Oh, that's cute. That took you 3 weeks. This took me 3 years.
Beautiful. But yeah. So apparently RVD, yes, is a free agent. From the little I caught before Martin was cutting out, it did sound like RVD was interested in signing with Impact. Which, I mean, it's RVD.
It's my understanding, and I see Martin still in the backstage, so if I'm wrong, by all means, Martin, feel free to type into the private chat we have here. I believe RVD was working on a pay-per-appearance with Impact while they, quote-unquote, needed him.
Right.
Apparently Creative and Impact Wrestling doesn't have anything left for him because we haven't seen him there. And there's no way he passes the WWE drug test. Ever. Then again, we also thought Matt Riddle would never pass it. And Riddle's still somehow in the WWE.
Yeah. Hey, you know, either maybe it's all just a gimmick, bro. Yeah, Yeah, but when it comes down to it, I mean, does Impact really need him, especially when you brought in Kenny Omega and you doubled your views, your TV viewing? Do I put that in quotes?
Well, so that all depends on how long you have Kenny Omega. I don't know, maybe whoever shows up from AEW, how long do you have them for?
Right. I mean, who do you think is gonna bro nuts?
Are we not going to talk about how that may have been the dumbest thing I have ever seen on WWE television? And I've seen a lot of dumb things.
I was gonna say, you do know about the gobbledygook, the turkey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll gladly watch the turkey before I see another bro nuts segment.
I'll gladly watch the turkey, he says.
I'll watch that turkey 10 out of 10 times over bro nuts.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
But really, when it comes to this AEW Impact partnership that's going on, Kenny Omega goes on to Impact, which was big, very big. And then
now,
AEW.
do you know that he showed up at Final Resolution as well?
I did not.
Okay, so they were still on the bus. Let's be real, probably shot the same day. However, so you don't know this piece then.
Right.
There was somebody else on the bus with them at Final Resolution.
Really?
Oh, really?
I don't watch Impact. You got to fill me in.
The Machine Gun, Carl Anderson. And they were talking. It was another talking segment, but the Machine Gun, Carl Anderson was, let's just say, Don Callis said, "You're not the Machine Gun anymore," or something of that line. To
Right.
which the response from Carl Anderson was, "Oh, you want to see the Machine Gun? Watch my match." And he won in 3 minutes.
Makes sense.
I'm not crazy here, but I believe Kenny Omega, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows will be back. Let's be real.
Right.
I don't know. This sounds familiar. It may have been done before somewhere.
Done. And I mean, for Kenny Omega to drag out that little thing that he does at the end, that little mwah, and good night. You gotta get excited.
I don't know if I've ever seen this before.
No,
you've seen this. You look like you've seen this before.
I might have seen a couple of times.
Can you tell me what we're talking about? Because I don't quite know.
Over in New Japan, Kenny Omega was might have been maybe a part of this little stable that some people might know, the Bullet Club, as the leader. Oh, everyone that knows Kenny Omega, of course, knows the story that Kenny Omega was the leader of Bullet Club while he was in New Japan. He was in that spot basically until he left. But with him teasing it, with half of those people that he was with in Bullet Club being in AEW, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, you know something big is planned. You know
who else was in the Bullet Club at that time?
Bad Luck Fale, God, Chase Owens, Hangman Page, the Young Bucks.
All right, well, Hangman Page most definitely isn't going to join them.
Right.
However, what if Bad Luck and God are the introduction to New Japan into this entire mix?
It would be super easy to do. I mean, right now, the Bullet Club that's at New Japan is pretty bloated. So it'd be very easy to go ahead and say, well, this faction is more with the overseas Kenny Omega, storyboard, and this one is still kind of more rooted here. It'd be super simple.
And then, more fantasy booking.
This is how we drag New Japan in.
We drag New Japan in, and then we have a battle of the Bullet Clubs.
That would be interesting.
Overall, minus Bad Luck Fale and the Gorillas of Destiny,
right.
Pretty much everybody else has changed over since Kenny Omega, Young Bucks time, and I don't think the Young Bucks are going to have anything to do with this either.
I don't think so. I think they want to try to write off themselves as themselves, really. They don't want to be on anyone's coattails.
Exactly. So the easiest way to run that, maybe you don't have, I mean, you have to have Bad Luck Fale and the Gorillas of Destiny to make that New Japan connection and make it all make sense.
Right.
Because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's when storylines don't make sense.
Mm.
You want to make sense the easy way, right there, boom, done.
Right. It's. I mean, there's so many factions of Bullet Club. I mean, I think Marty Scurll is still. Was Cody a part of Kenny's Bullet Club?
Not the time frame of Kenny we're talking about.
It's hard for me to remember, only because whenever Cody came on New Japan, I kind of started going to the bathroom and making snacks. I will admit I was a Cody fan. But yeah, I believe that he was basically Bullet Club whenever he showed up. But I mean, there's so many guys in New Japan's Bullet Club right now. And it would be very easy where Bullet Club could be the overall enemy in all of this instead of show versus show, federation versus federation. I mean, it could get twisted out around into that instead. There are so many places where they could take these stories, is what it comes down to. And if it comes out of left field, as long as it makes sense and the wrestling's good, I don't think I'm going to hate any of this. And we've said it a couple of times on the show. Right now is a really cool time, besides the fact that there's no crowds, to be a wrestling fan.
How much of what's going on now are we going to blame on the fact that there's no crowds?
I don't know. I mean, it is interesting that we see a lot of stuff happening that have to help out with those TV ratings. And the fact that they're not getting the extra money from ticket sales or probably the on-site merchandise sales and everything like that might have led them to these decisions where, hey, we've got to do something to get viewership up. You guys want a little what?
I disagree.
Yeah?
I think the second Anderson and Gallows signed with Impact, this plan was in motion. And yeah, that may have happened during the pandemic.
Right.
But if Anderson and Gallows just pick AEW, none of this happens.
I mean, we could even blame it on the creation of AEW. I think everyone was very excited when we heard about it. I know as a fan myself, I was really hoping New Japan would decide to do a partnership with AEW, and instead they chose to continue their partnership with ROH and Rev Pro over in England. But I think there's always been, when AEW started, they wanted to be able to have some partnerships. They wanted to be able to do something. Am I saying that that's the catalyst? Not necessarily, because they had to develop themselves before it would be feasible for them to do any kind of partnerships or alliances with any other federation. If they couldn't be taken seriously, then they wouldn't be able to be seen as a serious threat or someone worth bringing your wrestlers to. So could AEW be the catalyst as well? Perhaps. But I think they wanted to work with a lot of people, and I think the times went well, and I think they tried to lay down a lot of pieces to make sure that this would happen. But Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows deciding to go ahead and sign with Impact, whether that was a piece that everyone was planning years in advance, as Kenny said in his interviews, this has been years in the making, 27 years in the making, the invisible hand, which basically was the same problem on Impact and AEW.
If we're being realistic, it wasn't 27 years in the making.
But we'll let them get away with it.
To piggyback on you real quick, AEW, with their contracts, gives you the clause to go work New Japan, obviously non-pandemic times.
Right.
That's a little good faith gesture towards New Japan.
Absolutely.
They don't have to do that. That's absolutely something they don't have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Anderson and Gallows getting released from the WWE. And as I said last week, Anderson and Gallows, along with AJ Styles, were supposed to be on the very first episode of Dynamite, but they decided to re-sign with the WWE instead. And I bet you AJ Styles is kicking his own ass right now for it. My God, they've wasted him.
Yeah, I mean, they wasted him, but I mean, did they pay him?
Of course they paid him.
Exactly.
But they also paid Anderson and Gallows specifically not to go to AEW. Literally, the WWE, no, they still weren't going to AEW.
Right.
They literally played the system.
Well, that's the WWE way. When you got the monopoly, well, when you used to have the monopoly, I should say, I think they're seeing cracks in the foundation now. But
can we just real quick, the biggest load of bullshit I heard all year.
Okay.
Triple H saying, yeah, the WWE's doors are open to anybody willing to make a deal with us. It just has to make sense. Oh, come on. So if AEW tells you, if Tony Khan, who is part of a family that is richer than the McMahon family,
Yep.
if he came to you right now and said, hey, we will pay you $10 billion, let's have a bunch of dream matches, you're going to say yes? No.
Not a chance.
There's not a chance in hell you're going to give us Seth Rollins versus Kenny Omega on an AEW pay-per-view. I'm not blind to that. You're not blind to that. The world's not blind to that. We're not stupid.
And if I could interrupt, Brandon made a comment here that I kind of would like to go ahead and take a look at. If you guys are right on Bullet Club, could Bullet Club become their own company that WCW wanted NWO to become? No. And the only reason I say that was basically what it felt like when AEW happened. It was All Elite, the core of Bullet Club at the time, going off to make their own company. And they had tested the waters by doing one independent show. They had 10,000 people show up.
Hadn't they already broken away from the Bullet Club, though, and become the Elite?
They were still part of Bullet Club, but it was like an inner circle of Bullet Club.
Okay.
You knew that something was happening. You figured that Bullet Club was going to have some infighting. And then it became, no, those guys are just going to go and do their own thing. And they did, and they've been super successful, in my opinion. We recapped it when we did the 1 year anniversary. It worked.
My wheels are spinning here.
Yep.
What if they use this Bullet Club thing to launch their second TV show? Much like you just said, like he just said, the WCW wanting the NWO to have their own company. Instead of the NWO being a company, Bullet Club is the second show.
I mean, could it feasibly happen? Sure. But at the same time, I don't see that working out, only because who are you going to have on it if it's, hey, we're Bullet Club?
You want to know why it's really not going to work?
Go ahead.
Because New Japan refuses to sell the rights to Bullet Club. With how much money it makes them every year, I don't blame them.
I'm looking at the time.
So, real quick, I want to...
Yeah, sure.
Who do you... Name your favorite WWE tag team. We got 4 minutes. Let's do this.
Of all time or currently?
Let's go currently. Just because it's that much harder.
Oh, come on. I'm trying to remember the tag team. I'm still going to have to go with New Day. I mean...
Can we go NXT or are we... This is our show. We make the rules. Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm going to go with
NXT
New Day.
is a part of the WWE.
Right.
Undisputed Era. Give me any two of the Undisputed Era. Realistically, Red Dragon is the tag team. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. Always love them. Great tag team. They are easily my favorite. Brandon says the Street Profits, they're just entertaining as all hell.
Number two for me on that one.
They should very well easily just go to any other company. Get out of the one company in the world that does not give a damn about tag teams because they are so talented.
Yeah, I agree.
And Montez Ford is a soon-to-be world champion. He has everything. He is the perfect guy for the WWE.
Yes.
Angelo Dawkins is going to be holding him back for however long they have this tag team.
Yep. No, I think they're fantastic. I like New Day. I think they went from being like some kind of weird heel stable to, one of the most beloved tag teams and one of the most decorated tag teams in recent history.
Rumor has it Xavier Woods isn't re-signing his contract.
Xavier Woods has got a lot of side projects going on with the video gaming and everything like that. I wouldn't be surprised.
You're telling me you don't think Xavier Woods versus Kenny Omega in a video game competition wouldn't be entertaining on AEW television?
I'm just saying that if he could go, I think he would want to. I think in his downtime he wants to be on Twitch, gaming and everything like that. And guess what? WWE just took all that away from him. Jake, I could not agree with you more on Ford.
I thoroughly enjoy bringing up comments of people saying, Jake, you're right.
I'm feeling a lot of non-love here.
Yeah, you're getting shafted tonight. I'm getting a lot of love. And
but if we look at the time that we've got left, I've got less than 1 minute to go ahead and try to rant about New Japan. We've left very little time for the New Japan Blitz. All right, New Japan Blitz, going to go ahead and try to hit this as fast as I can. So, Best of the Super Junior Tournament has finished. In the finals, we had El Desperado versus Hiromu Takahashi. Hiromu won. That's his second time winning the tournament. When it came to the World Tag League, GOD won over FinJuice. FinJuice was the defending champions. GOD won it for the first time, which is extremely surprising. Thank you. When it comes to the rest of New Japan, the Super J Cup just happened here in America, won by El Phantasmo. Now, Hiromu Takahashi, one of the best Super Juniors, has challenged El Phantasmo at Wrestle Kingdom on the first night. The winner gets to face for the Junior Heavyweight Champion on the second night. Besides that, things are going well. And I also believe that we're going to get, and this is a hot take, I think we're going to get Jon Moxley defending the United States title at Wrestle Kingdom in Japan in the Tokyo.
Hasn't Tony Khan said no?
I don't know, but if he dropped the title, there's 3 weeks before the show's on, and that's enough time to quarantine. Timeline, it fits.
I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to dive into that. That's going to be a talking point next week.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we have run out of time today, but this was the Ringside Roundup. We had Martin Lee. Always a pleasure to have him on. Unfortunately, he had some technical difficulties. We've got Jake. Yes, thank you, Martin. Thank you. We've got Jake. We've got JD.
At the end of the show, his technical difficulties are all figured out.
Oh, for Christ. Yeah,
come on.
It's my Wi-Fi tonight. I don't know what it is. It's usually amazing, but not tonight.
Well, I'm JD.
We're
signing off. Ringside Roundup, Game Changer Sports Network. Thank you for joining us, everyone.